This catchment video follows the first catchment delineation video, which uses the automatic catchment delineation mode in WEEP to select an area based on the pour point of your choice. Here we'll be talking about adding elevation and land use data. We'll also use options within the catchment delineation mode to build more catchments within your basin, shown in the red shapefile. Let's add more detail to this catchment. There are several different things that we can do, and I won't show all of them in this video. I will show that you can add land use and elevation detail. Let's look at both of those in turn. So I'm going to scroll down, and first I'm going to create land cover branches. So I check my box, and then this window appears. This is data from the European Space Agency Climate Change Initiative Land Cover Dataset. It's from the MERIS satellite, which is what I'm going to call it. Notice too that you can add your own data set, not just for land cover, but for example for soil type if you wanted to do that. It's non-trivial, so if you are interested in doing that, I encourage you to read the information about it available in the WEEP Help menu. For now, we're going to talk about what's already available from this satellite. This satellite data differentiates between lots of different land use types. WEEP has simplified them into only a few. You can simplify them even further. For example, if I don't want to differentiate between grasslands and shrublands, maybe I would just say that shrublands are another type of grassland, and now I don't have that shrubland category anymore. However, if you wanted to add back a category, for example, rain-fed cropland, you can go to Edit Selected Categories List, Add Category, Rain-fed cropland. We can see it appears below. Say OK. And now up here I have an option to select rain-fed cropland, so I've added a little bit more detail to my model. And close out of this. And now when I go to my data view, WEEP will recalculate the area in my model based on these different land use types. So when I open up my data tree, I see all the different land use types. And back in my area tab, WEEP has now divided up the hectares in my watershed between the different land use types. Very helpful. Let's go back to the schematic. Now we'll open the catchment delineation mode again to add in elevation branches to our model. Now, why add elevation branches? Because climate typically varies according to elevation, if your model area has significant variation in elevation, it can be a good idea to create elevation bands in your model to allow you to enter climate data separately for the different bands. I'm going to scroll down and check the box for Create Elevation Band Branches. And as soon as I do that, we can see that the elevation band branches are created 0 to 500, 500 to 1,000. This 500 step increment comes from the band height that I've specified here, 500 meters. Now if I go into the data view, we can see that WEEP has now divided up my catchment into different elevations, and each elevation has its own land use disaggregations as well. And we can see that now, for example, we can look at the area of forest in elevation between 2,500 and 3,000 meters. But right now we're not done with talking about catchment delineation, so there are a few more things that I want to show. Let's zoom in. And say that I had a decision maker come up to me and say, well, it's very well and good that you have a point of accuracy over here in the model, but I'm interested in building a small reservoir for hydropower right in this section of the river. Can you tell me anything about the flow right there? And the way that the model's structured right now, I can't. I don't know about the flow there, but I can edit my model to include another catchment inside this watershed. So I'm going to go to my schematic menu, Catchment Delineation Mode, and I'm going to press Alt on my keyboard while I press the point where the decision maker is interested to build the reservoir. So Alt, click, and it's going to build me a new catchment, which I'll call Reservoir. And we can see that WEEP has made us our new catchment. It's a different color than the other one, and we see that they're both part of the catchment shapefile. And say that now the decision maker said, actually, I want to make my hydropower on a tributary over here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So he says, I'm really interested to know the flow of a tributary in this area. Well, first of all, I can't even see it because I don't have the river detail. But even if I could, I would do the same thing, which is I would click Alt on my keyboard again and then click with my mouse. And we will draw the river that flows through that point, showing it all the way until where it ends in the river that already exists in Weep. And this point will then help Weep delineate all of the area that's going to contribute the flow to that point. So it's a pretty small area. We can imagine that it's pretty small flow as well. And now I will zoom out again. And to tell you about the next video, we're going to talk about loading climate data into our model. But for now, what we've shown is how to use WEAP to automatically delineate catchments, calculate the area data, use elevation data and land cover data from satellites to even disaggregate further to get more details about all of the land in your catchment, and then also to subdivide catchments as needed according to the details in your model. We're really excited about this feature and we hope that you guys find it useful. This has been a WEAP instructional video. Good luck on your models.